Good afternoon and welcome again to another weekly Wednesday Grand Rapids Public Schools School Informational Session. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen you, and we welcome you back for another session. This is part 2, Spring into School Safety. Spring into School Safety. And as we go through this week, we just want to touch on a few things that can be some challenges for our families and our students as they travel to and from school. This has absolutely been some challenging weeks in the Grand Rapids, in the city of Grand Rapids, here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we just want to pause to remember our families who may be experiencing a very difficult time, because oftentimes that has an impact on our schools. In the coming weeks, we'll talk about some survival tips around trauma for our young people if they go through the summer months. But right now, we just want to spring into school safety and really focus on some of the things that we are working on in our district. Again, I'm Larry Johnson. I have the privilege to serve as the Chief of Staff and the Executive Director of Public Safety for the Grand Rapids Public Schools. If you're watching this video, we're less than 30 days to the end of the school year. That's right. Staff, students, parents, our school year is winding down. And with less than 30 days to go, we look forward to ending the year on a positive note, but yet giving our scholars an opportunity to get some safety tips to keep them safe over the next 30 days and also throughout the summer months. So this week, our topic is going to focus on field trips, proms and open houses, playground safety, pedestrian safety, undeliverable students, our dismissal practices, and crime prevention through environmental design. And we're going to share with you some exciting news that's going on in the Grand Rapids Public Schools as it relates to crime prevention through environmental design and our spring clean that we're currently conducting on Saturdays to clean all of our facilities on the outside to beautify them for the summer. Again, let's talk about field trips. This is obviously the time of the year when many of our kids are rewarded and taken on field trips as it relates to some of the activities they've done. We try to connect all of our field trips to an educational learning experience, and that educational learning experience extends beyond the classroom, where we're taking our kids to various locations throughout our community. The key to field trips, however, is supervision. And we must make sure that we have proper supervision on all of our field trips as our students move around. Now, a proper and safe field trip really starts with the proper paperwork and planning. And so we want to remind our staff that the completion of field trip information and field trip packets is critical to our districts. It's just simply part of our process, procedures, and protocols. So making sure that you get your field trip packets filled out correctly will help plan for a successful trip. That includes your volunteer approvals and volunteer applications. Parents, we want you to be involved in our field trips, but please get those volunteer applications filled out well in advance of the trip. Filling them out the day before may delay you or deny you the opportunity to take a great experience with your student on a field trip that could give them memories of a lifetime. Staff, if you're planning a walkable field trip site, remember that we require you also to fill out a field trip form, which includes a safety plan and a walkable route plan, letting our public safety officers know the route you plan to take. We also recommend that route be walked 24 hours prior to your trip so that we can pick out any of the potential barriers or unsafe sites that may be along that route, and if we need to change it, we can change it at that time. As it warms up, and today is a beautiful day in Michigan, playground safety always become a concern for us. And again, it goes back to proper supervision and making sure that we have the proper number of supervisors out on the playground when our little staff and when our little tykes are out there playing. You know, our scholars love being outside, and there's some great learning opportunities outside, but that must be done safely. As we go through our Spring Clean 22, we're looking at playground equipment that may be damaged and getting our operations folks over to fix that. But so we want our staff to check the grounds of the playground, because oftentimes on the playground they're being used over the weekends, and so we want to make sure that we're checking those playgrounds and that we're getting any broken glass, any debris, or anything that can present a damage or danger to our young tykes when they're playing on the playground. So playground safety checks become very important. Our juniors and seniors, congratulations on your upcoming proms and open houses for our seniors. But proms and open houses, although fun and a memorable experience for us all, can bring some discomfort if they're not done safely. So we want to remember that there should be no drinking and driving. Drinking and driving is absolutely unsafe and absolutely illegal for students of your age. Parents, if you're planning any activities at your house, plan them with safety in mind. And again, proper supervision is the key. So as you conduct your proms, getting home at a reasonable hour, conducting your proms in a safe location throughout our community, but also considering parents, hotel parties really is not a great thing for our students. And if they're not going to be supervised, they should not be conducted. Pedestrian safety. As our kids become walking back and forth to school, more kids are walking now because it's warm. We want to make sure that we're using crosswalks. Parents, when you're picking up your students, making sure that you're picking up your students in the approved drop-off and pickup zones, not getting in the way of buses. Obeying the safety rules around the school. Wearing of bright clothing if your kids are going to be walking to and from school in the early morning hours. We also want to remind you of undeliverable students. Parents, you have to pick your kids up at the end of the day, and many times some of our kids want to walk home. But we have a very robust process for the undeliverable students. Working with Dean's Transportation and our administrators, we want to make sure that our records are updated, and that so that if in the event of an emergency, we know who to contact. If your child is not picked up, we would go down that emergency contact list, and once we get to the end of that list, we will wait a reasonable amount of time before we take that to the next phase, and that may be to contact law enforcement to help us get your kids home. We don't want to traumatize kids by enlisting the assistance of law enforcement to get your child home, so it's very important for you to update your records and have some backups in the event you're running late from work, you can't get to the school, and we want to be able to get your child home safely or get them in the hands of another loved one. As we go through our dismissal practices, we want to teach our parents, you want to teach your child to go directly home from school. Directly home in a safe route. Hopefully traveling with a buddy system, traveling with siblings or other students who may live on their block or close to their homes. We want to ensure students are placed on the right bus. So we're working very hard with our teachers and with our staff to make sure that when students exit a building, they are placed on the correct bus and then taken to the correct drop. We're getting numerous phone calls from parents in our community about some of our sites that may not be safe in their perspective. So what we are doing is we're working with Dean's Transportation to check all of those sites with our public safety officers and working with local law enforcement to make sure that we've removed any barriers or obstacles that are facing our bus stops. Parents, we want you to beware of the hot zones. Staff, beware of the hot zones. What a hot zone is those gathering places at the end of the school day. We want to make sure that we are addressing those. Again, supervision, supervision, supervision. As we travel through our community, obviously the schools is nothing more than a microcosm of the community, and what we see in the community can end up on the doorsteps of our schools. So we want to encourage you, parents and our students, that if you see something, say something, do something in the community. As we get close to the end of the school year, we want to just avail you to a great opportunity. And through our crime prevention and environmental design, and what is crime prevention through environmental design? That is simply defined as using proper design and proper effective use of tools to make our schools safe. It deals with natural access control and environmental issues that we're dealing with. But one of the concepts of crime prevention through environmental design, or CPTEC, is a clean environment. So we're giving our staff, we're giving our community, we're giving all of our students an opportunity to participate in the first annual School Beautification Day. Spring Clean 2022. It kicked off already, but you have an opportunity to still join. Saturday, April 30th, May 7th, and May 14th from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Contact your school administrator at your school to find out when your school is going through a spring clean day. It's an opportunity to get outside and cut grass and trim bushes and plant flowers and do all the things on the outside of the school that show how much we care about our community. So neighbors, you don't have to have a kid in school. Churches, you don't have to have your parishioners going to that school, but if it's in your neighborhood, contact your neighborhood school to participate in the School Beautification Day with the Grand Rapids Public Schools. Again, we thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, we ask you give us a call at securityquestions@grps.org. That's securityquestions@grps.org. It's summertime. Let's have a good time, but let's keep our kids safe. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you again next week on our weekly Wednesday school safety informational sessions.